I'm going to give 3 short stories. I have not used the names of the companies here, and the opinions are mine alone, but I was deeply involved in all these companies. So the first one, this is a non-invasive prenatal test, but not like the one Steve Quake developed, right, here in Clark Center, not using DNA sequencing, but rather capturing a nucleated fetal red blood cell. And this is not a new idea. There have actually been 50 companies founded to do this across all around the world, several in the Bay Area in the last 10 years. And these entrepreneurs had actually a great new idea, and being from here, they were leveraging new advances in computation, in cameras, in image analysis, and should have worked great. So, well, it was worth a try. It was worth a try. And actually, they hit their first milestone and brought in new investors and a lot more money and did several pivots, so their original patents no longer applied. That's something that happens all the time. But something happened. The market changed, right? All of a sudden, there was cell-free DNA, and it worked. And the performance, and we had not proposed that. And I've been on I've started 2 DNA sequencing companies, right? It never occurred to us that this would be the killer app for DNA sequencing for human healthcare. The market changed entirely. It was no longer satisfactory to, get 75% of the women to be able to detect aneuploidy. And guess what? That company went away. Now, there was lots of other problems. As Daria alluded to, there were some follow-on investors that put in an order of magnitude more money than I did, and they drove the company off in another direction, which turned out to have a cliff on it. So, just had coffee with the founder and CEO in preparation for this class. So this next one, this was actually one that I did. This is a company, another non-invasive. This is a non-invasive test for colorectal cancer, for neoplasia, actually. And guess what? People don't like colonoscopies. Almost half of the Americans would rather risk colon cancer than subject themselves to a colonoscopy, or probably more importantly, the colon prep. Not pleasant. And imagine you're pitching this to VCs, which are basically white guys over the age of 50. They've all recently had one. They understand the value proposition, right? You guys all get it. Finally got a laugh out of you. Okay. And this was a simple one. This was, we're going to predict the presence or absence of colorectal polyps by profiling the gut microbiome. I mean, you got colonoscopy, you got microbiome, it's all hot, it's wonderful. And so I actually ran the clinical study, and it didn't work. But also Exact Sciences came out. Right? You say, oh, now the FDA is approved, CMS is paying this non-invasive test. Well, it's a terrible test. I do not own stock in Exact Sciences. But the market still works. So there's still a market there. This was a technical failure. Really, it did not hit our specs. But we found that out in about 2 years. It took 2 years and not much capital to actually run the whole process and realize, whoa, we did not hit our performance specs. This is not a market product. But I did it in a time and capital efficient manner, although my wife is way less happy about the whole process. The next one is, this was the MRSA testing company. And I actually started working with them a year before we funded them. They're still in school. It was actually 2 very good friends. One's getting a PhD in, I believe, bioengineering, and one in the business school. And they're actually from Cornell in Ithaca. And they had this idea, and we worked back and forth on the idea. So they started with a need and went through a series of technical solutions with a changing spec, and it was great working with them. And I said, I'm not going to fund you till you graduate because your parents would kill me. And so we did. We waited till he graduated and then funded him. And started a company, and they hit their first milestone. within 1 year. They hit the FDA guidance for detecting MRSA. Now, not within the right time, not with the same sensitivity, but they got the false positive and false negative numbers to exactly hit the FDA guidance. We then brought in, and the value proposition was we're going to do it for 5% of the cost of PCR, because there's no PCR, and it was sort of a forehead slapping solution. It was like, wow, if that could work, that'd be great. And it worked. So I'm not going to go there. So it was a very interesting team. So it started out with 2 young guys. And we brought on more lab people. And before the A, we brought in a senior, a med diagnostic CEO, who actually took great care of the team. So this was the team that actually had the 3 partners. One went off to go to be an academic, right? And he recapitalized the whole company to take care of the 2 people that were there. There's a lot of honesty and self-support, and it actually works out really well. And in the end, they got bought. And the day after the money wired, the 2 founders went down to Tesla here on El Camino, and each got into Tesla. And it was an absolutely delightful success for everybody around. It can work, and this is the reason we still do this is because it can work. And when it does, it's very good.
The preceding program is copyrighted by the Board of Trustees of the Leland Stanford Junior University. Please visit us at med.stanford.edu.